Good morning, everyone. So we're going to talk about dates and also times in ACL. For some of you, this will be revision from the beginner's course. It's obviously going to help a lot if you attended that course. Some of the concepts might be new to some of you, even those of you who did do the beginner's course. But let's jump in anyway. Let's just talk about some tasks that we often need to do with dates and times, the ones that we do most often. They are obviously importing. You have to import your data, whether it's date and time or character, whatever the case might be. But people sometimes struggle to import dates, especially if they're not so-called normal looking dates like you would see in a calendar. Another thing we do sometimes with dates and times is filters, and date and time filters, especially time filters, are somewhat different. So we need to look at that. We need to be careful with those. And we also do calculations with dates and times, such as how many days have passed from one day to another, how many hours from one time to another, and so on. Again, the calculations with dates aren't too bad. It's the ones with times that are a bit tricky for most people. Now, I want to talk to you about a concept called serial times and serial dates also before we go into ACL. So serial dates, I've called this one type of serial date a partial serial date. That's not an official term. That's my terminology. And if we look at an example of this kind of a serial date, suppose the date in the accounting system in your data was the 1st of January 2019. Instead of the accounting system showing you that date like that, 1 January 2019, if it used the kind of serial date I'm talking about now, it would show you a date that looks like this. 2019, because that represents the year. 001, because that represents the first day of that year, so 1st of January 2019. If a certain transaction took place on the 2nd of January 2019, an accounting system that uses this kind of serial date would put the year again, 2019, followed by 002, because 2nd of January was the second day of the year, the calendar year 2019. 3rd of January would similarly be 2019 003 for the third day of that particular calendar year. 31 January would be 2019 031. And then if we had 1st of February, it would be 2019 032, because the 1st of February 2019 was the 31st of the day of the calendar year 2019. Now, so it's not a proper, it's part of this date is only partially a serial date. The part that is a serial date are these last three digits, because it goes up in a series, in a sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 365, because 2019 was not a leap year. This year, of course, the last date, if your accounting system used this kind of a date format, would be 2020 366, because this year's a leap year. The first part isn't actually a serial date as such. It's just a fixed date for this particular year in any case. So I like to call this a partial serial date because only part of it is a series, a sequence, the day part. Right, and of course, 31 December 2019, as I said, would be 2019 365. Now we have another kind of serial date. Again, this type of serial date is, with base dates. This term with base date is my term, but basically some serial dates are proper serial dates. So when I say base date, what it means is in your counting system, there is some date built into the background where your calendar starts, so to speak, where your accounting system's calendar starts. So in my example, I'm going to pretend that my accounting system has a base date of 1 January 1900. Now, what I would see in my accounting system isn't 1 January 2019. I would see that number, 43,465. That's the date I would see. Now, that 43,465 means the date or the transaction that we're looking at took place 43,465 days after the 1st of January 1900. So you start counting. 1 January would be day 1, 2 January, day 2, and so on. Eventually, you would get to 43,465, and that, if you looked in your calendar after all that counting, would correspond to the 1st of January 2019. If the transaction took place on the 2nd of January 2019, then the date, if we used a base date, if we counted the number of days from 1 January 1900, would be 43,466. 3rd of January would be one bigger, 43,467. Okay, 31 January, you can verify this on your own, would be obviously about 20 to, 27 or so, 24, 8 days or so bigger than 43,467. So in my accounting system that uses this base date of 1 January 1900, I would see 43,495. I would not see the actual date that we human beings can relate to of 31 January 2019. Now, by the way, the reason some computer programs use serial dates is because it's easier to do calculations with them for your accounting system. Because dates that we as human beings see are not really mathematical entities. Why is February bigger than January, so to speak? Now, we as human beings know this, but to a computer is not a so-called normal number. 1st of February would obviously be 43,496 in this accounting system that we're talking about, and 31 December, 43,829. Obviously, it's just these numbers just keep getting bigger and bigger each year. So the 1st of January 2020 would be 43,830. That's assuming that the base date is 1 January 1900. Most accounting systems that do use serial dates that have a base date in the background do not use the 1st of January 1900. Most of them tend to use a date that is sometime before the 1st of January 1900. And there's no telling which date the system would use. Whoever designed it decided the date, and that's the date that we get when that accounting system is installed, the base date we get. Now, some people, by the way, talk about something called a Julian date. A Julian date is a special type of a serial date. It is exactly like these dates I'm talking about, Jay, except the base date is not that. The base date, I don't remember the exact date, but it's thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, this base date, round about the time of Julius Caesar. That's why it's called a Julian date. Why someone chose that particular date is a mystery to me, but someone did for certain accounting systems. So you'll find often people in the office where they have accounting systems that use serial dates, you'll find them talking about Julian dates. They won't say serial date, they'll say Julian date. A Julian date is actually a special example of a serial date. It's a serial date that has a very specific base date. That's just an academic point. So if someone in the office talks about a Julian date and it's not really a Julian date, don't stress about it. You can correct them if you really want to, but a Julian date is really just a very specific example of a serial date. Okay, let's talk about serial times. A serial time is when you express the number of hours in a day as a fraction of 24. So there are 24 hours in a day. If I give you a time and we divide it by 24, we can then work out the serial time. So for example, if the time is 8 o'clock in the morning, okay? If the time is 8 o'clock in the morning, we take 8 hours, because it's exactly 8 hours, divided by 24, we get 0.3 recurring. So if my accounting system uses a serial time and someone arrived at the office at 8 in the morning, I would not see 800. I would see something that I, as a human being, cannot relate to when it comes to times. I would see 0.33333. That's the time they came into the office. I'd have to figure out some way to convert that into a normal time that I can understand. If someone arrived at the office at 9:30, I'd have to convert the 30 minutes into hours first. 30 divided by 60 gives me 0.5 hours. So 9.5 hours divided by 24 hours means they arrived at the office, if I use the serial time, at 0.39583. And if someone arrived at 5 minutes past 3 in the evening, I would take 23.0833 divided by 24. I haven't put the divided by 24 there just because I wanted to fit it onto one line. But please, I am dividing that 23.0833 by 24. So the time that when an airplane, let's say, left the airport, not at the moment, was 0.961806 if we use a serial time. Please remember, ACL uses a 24-hour clock. So you would never see an ACL 11 p.m. Or let's rather say you would never communicate with ACL, tell ACL what to do and say something like, look for 11 p.m. You would have to say 2300, something like that, right? Okay, so now that we know about serial dates and serial times, let's go straight into ACL. So I've got some data that I want to import into ACL because part of what I want to do with the dates and times is show you some of the issues with importing. So let me click on import file, and I'm going to import a delimited file. All right, let me just click next. And I've already got the headings in here. Now, notice, by the way, this column called mixed dates. You'll see that some of these dates have 4 digits for the year on the left-hand side. This date here, the format is not consistent. Is the 05 a date? Is it something else? Is that 19 the year? What is going on? It's inconsistent. The formatting is inconsistent. So this is going to be a problem for us, this one. Okay, let's just carry on now. I can tell you now that in this data, there are actually some other funny formats like this here, and they're inverted commas. This is the way the client gave us the data. So I'm going to say there's a text qualifier, double quote, and inverted comma, so that ACL doesn't treat those inverted commas as part of the data. Anyway, so I'm going to try and import this. This column mixed dates obviously bothers me because the formatting I can see is inconsistent. But this is what we've got. Let's see what we can do. We'll click on next, and we're going to get this error message. There's an error on line 25. I'm first going to say, no, I don't want to continue. Look here, line 25 is that date there that looks very, very different from all the other dates. That's why I'm getting the error message. So I'm going to try again and say, yes, let's continue anyway. And I need to make a copy of this file. I'll just call it data, and we'll save it. And I get this message, line 25, wrong data types. Again, ACL is not happy because line 25 looks very different in that one field from the others. That's fine. I'll click next. So this first column isn't, oopsie, this one has gone, ACL's tried to fix this. This one is not what I want. Okay, we'll deal with this a bit later. This one says serial date. This is actually not the serial date I want. I'll just say ignore this field for the moment. Here's another serial date. This is a proper serial date. Okay. This one is based on the base date. Now they would need to tell us, the client would need to tell us what the base date is. So I'm going to give you a base date later after the import. So let me go to a normal date. This normal date, it's fine. Sorry, by the way, the serial date, I need to tell ACL it's numeric. It is numeric. Always import a proper serial date as numeric. For some reason, ACL's messed up my dates there. Right, my serial dates here are numeric. Let's go to normal date. This should be, excuse me, dates time. And the format I see in the source is DD space M space 4 Ys. This here is dangerous. This column has very inconsistent date formats. So don't ever import a field that has inconsistent date formats as date time, import it as character. You need to try to fix it afterwards in ACL. So this first one I'm not importing yet. ACL's messed up what I was hoping to do there. I'll see if I can fix it for you guys during the session. If not, I'll just give you a quick explanation. It's very easy. This one I'm importing as numeric because it's just a bunch of numbers, and I'd have to use it in some kind of calculation to figure out what the dates are that I can relate to as a human being. This is a normal date. It's date time, but the format as you see it in the source data. This one, don't even try to import it as date time because the formatting is inconsistent. Import it as character and fix it afterwards. Here we have a column time 1. This is a time field, a date time field. Remember to put the format. The format we see as HH:MM:SS. Similarly, I've got time 2. It's also date time. HH:MM:SS. And this is date time 1. Now, this is date time, but this has got dates and times in one field, which is sometimes convenient and sometimes a bit problematic. So I'm going to import this field, but I must tell ACL the format of everything I see in here. The date format is DD space M space 4 Ys. Then there's a space followed by HH:MM:SS. And this one here, let's see what this looks like. This is date time as well. And this is DD M with a space, of course, for space 4 Ys, I don't know what it is with me on this letter HH:MM:SS. So everything here is fine except for this first column that ACL somehow messed up, or maybe in my source data is messed up. I don't want it to look like that. This one is problematic too because of the incorrect date formats. Otherwise, everything else just seems fine. So let me click next and finish and OK. Right, so I have this here now in ACL. Okay, now remember, the first thing you should do after importing a file always is to run verify. That's not negotiable. So just in case, I'm going to run the verify command. And I'm going to verify all the fields. And let's see if I get any errors. Okay, that's good news. I don't get any errors. The reason I won't get errors here is because even though the formats are inconsistent, I never imported this as a date time field. If this was imported as a date time field, I can tell you now, probably those would be blank because they don't have the same format as this here. All right, so let's try and fix, this first column here that we see serial date 2. I, as a human being, don't know which date that was. Was that the 10th of June last year? Was that the 1st of August in 1985? I really don't know. So I go to the client, I say to him, okay, I need your help here. Now, they could give me, and they normally do this, they give you the actual date that this number corresponds to. So let's suppose they tell me that 35,583 corresponds to the date 10th of September 2019. That gives me a starting point. So I need to go to my table layout. And I'm going to try to create a field. Okay, I'm just going to call the serial date normal date, so I can understand what's going on here. And I'm going to say, okay, the date they told me, they said to me, they gave me a date, 2019-09-10, 10th of September 2019. I'm going to subtract the date there, that the number they gave me, which was 35,583. Actually, I'll just call this, rather first, I'll call this field difference. Let me first call it difference, see difference or something. So let's see what this looks like. So I'll just add it into my view over here, see difference. So basically we're saying, sorry, I'm just thinking now, what have I done? I've done something very strange. This is not what I'm looking for. Okay, my logic has just gone for a loop. That's fantastic. I want to take that date. So I'm just trying to think. No. Gosh, I've gone completely blank now. Sorry. Just thinking, I actually did this morning. This is going to give me the base date, which is not what I want. Okay, let's try and work with that. So this is not the way I wanted to do this, but we can work with this. I've accidentally calculated the base date. So the base date for this accounting system is the 9th of April, 1922. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to calculate now the serial time as a normal time, a serial date as a normal date. And I'm going to say, take whatever is in the serial date field, I need to add it to what, okay, this is called C difference. That's actually my base date column. Right, let's just see this. Okay, let's just wait for ACL. Or let me go find ACL, there we go. So let me see what it looks like here. C serial date, normal date. So you can see, as I said to you, the client told me that corresponds to 10th of September. So I've accidentally done a check of my calculations. These are the actual dates. So the one method you can use for figuring out what these actual dates are is to first take the number, the actual date, the current date, so 10th of September in the example the client gave me, minus this number to get the base date. And then you can just add the correct number of days to the base date. Now, that's not the way I normally do it. I've gone blank with the other way. The reason I worry about this method is because, as I said, most accounting systems do not use a base date on or after 1 January 1900. They use a base date before then. And before 1 January 1900, there is no calendar in ACL. The dates don't exist, so you get error messages. So normally I use a different method. I think actually what I can do is, let me do this again for you without the base date, because I think I've just remembered before I get too old. I'm going to take, I want to work out what this is. Now we know the answer is 4th of December, but I want to check. I want to take that minus that amount there, 35,583. So let me try again. See, let's just call this date for humans. I'm going to say, right, I want to take that number in the serial date field, and I want to subtract 35,583. Actually, I'll call this C variance. This is not going to be the date yet. We just wait for ACL to respond. Okay. Oh. Okay. So let me just put my variance column in. So I'm going to add it here. Okay. So from that date, or sorry, from this date here, that funny looking date to that date, 85 days passed. So what I need to do now is go create a date. Okay. I'll call it C serial date normal. I'll put it into for methods 2. And I'm going to say, okay, I know that I have this serial date. I need to, actually not the serial date, I know I've got this variance. I need to add that variance, 80 days or whatever it was, to the dates that the client gave me. So I'm kind of using 10th of September now, 2019 as a base date. 10th of September, 2019 as a base date. All right, let's just see what this looks like. Okay, now we're just waiting for the computer to respond. Okay. Andere. My word, this is slow. Okay, so guys, just waiting for this to process. Okay, there we go, finally. So let me just put this in here. Let's just see, date normal, M2. All right, so let's just check here. And you see, I've got the same answer here as I did there using a different method. Now, I've got the same answer here as I did there also, which is good news, but notice this is a negative. This is before that date, which is fine. When you add a negative, you end up subtracting the dates. So there's two methods you could use to turn this into a normal date. One, which I did unintentionally, was to calculate the base date by saying, take that number minus, sorry, take that date that they gave you, the example minus that, to give you the base date, then add the number of days, whatever it is. The problem, as I said, with that often, and in fact usually, is that the base date is before 1st of January 1900, which doesn't exist in ACL. So what you then have to do is you rather have to say, okay, I'm going to take this date that I'm trying to convert into a normal date. I'm going to subtract the number of days, subtract the date, the serial date, for the information that I do know from here, get a difference and add that to whatever that serial date's actual normal date is. So I'm using that serial date's corresponding normal date as a kind of a base date for my calculations. All right, that took me a while, but anyway, there we go. There are two different ways of calculating what the actual date is that we as human beings can relate to. I'm just going to hide that so that we don't have to worry about it again in the session. But the normal date, that's no big deal. That's boring. There's nothing exciting there. Now, this one is fun. Okay. So I want to change this into a date field. But before I can do that, I must make the formats the same. So I'm looking at this and I'm trying this funny one. I'm thinking now, what did they put first? The day, the month, or the year? And what I could maybe do first to make sure I spot everything is to use the map function, because if you've got a million records, to spot all the funny things is not a joke. I'm going to see in the mixed dates field, which of these do not have a format that starts with 4 digits, followed by hyphen, 2 digits, hyphen, 2 digits. Okay, and it shows me those. So let's just see here. If my theory is that the first digit is the day, 05 is the day and 01 is the month, then I've got a problem over here. This can't be the month. So it looks like it's MM-DD-4Y, 2Ys, right? So it looks like, as I said, it is, just want to make sure I've got this format right. Looks like this is MM-DD-YY. So I need to go look for that format. Let me create a computed field. So I'll call this date format fixed, fixed. Well, I'm going to try and fix it. So I'm going to say, often what's in this column is correct, keep it as that. Then I'm going to say, I need to check to see if, now I'm not saying map, I'm using not map. I want to check if the format I see here is 2 digits, a hyphen, 2 digits, hyphen, 2 digits. And if it is that, I need to try and rearrange this. Now this is going to be a bit of fun, right? So I need to say, okay, I'm going to use a split function. I need to split this field where there's a hyphen. Now the split function we did in the beginner's course, right? So I'm going to split where the hyphen is. I'm going to take the third segment. Then I'm going to add to that numbers. Just check here. I'm trying to remember what my date format was. Let me just quickly save that, even though I haven't finished this yet. Just want to check my date format. Okay, the date format for the others is that one there. It's very important that I make sure I know what my date formats are. Okay, So I've got to go ahead and say, all right, I've taken the third segment, which was the year, but I need to add in front of it 19. Now, again, I'm trying to remember what I saw. So just to be safe, I'm going to save what I've done so far to see if it looks right at this stage, to see if I'm making progress. Use the view to help you, and also use a false computer. Okay. Goodness gracious. All right, there we go, eventually. So this is, let me just see here, if I add this in here, what does this look like so far? So I've got 1919. No, that's not, okay, yes, the year was 1919, so it should be 2019. Okay, at least I've got the year almost right. So this should be 20 in front of the 19. So I've got 2019. Then what I need to do is I need to add a hyphen based on the correct format, the one I'm changing everything to that I remembered. Plus, I need to split again. This is fun, right? I need to split again, and I need to take segment, I'm trying to think the month was in segment 1. And then I need to put in a hyphen, and then I need to split this again and take segment 2, if I remember correctly. Let me test this. It's very important that we use our view to see if we're right. Okay, so I'm going to check my view to see if I've managed to fix some of those date formats. Right, let me just see if I can do my filter. Okay, my filter's gone. All right, fine. But this one here, okay, it's correct the year, the month is correct, the day is correct. Of course, there's spaces, right? So I've got to go back and all trim this. So we're having lots of fun. So this is what happens when you allow people to capture dates in, you know, a spreadsheet program, for example. If they don't have a specific format, if the spreadsheet isn't designed to force them to use a format, you've got a problem. So try and force them always use a certain format. Get the system to force them. So let me just try and fix this. So I'm going to all trim some stuff here. Okay, I want to all trim this. So that goes away. And there we go. That should fix that. And then I've got another problem. Let's just go see. The other problem, okay, it won't change because I haven't closed here yet. The other problem is, all right, let me close here so I can see the other formats. The other problem is this, where it's got the month, and then it's as a word, and then it's got a space, and it's got the day, comma, and it's 2019. Now, the day and the comma aren't too bad. It's the month that could be tricky, but let's see what we can do with this. So I'm going to go back to this format fixed. I'm going to need another condition. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to look for where the funny date column, mixed dates column starts with 3 letters. Okay, because March would be MAR something, April would be APR something, May of course is just MAY, but it starts with 3 letters. When I find those, what I think I'm going to do is, I'm going to say, I want the year, well, let me first do the substring part. I want to substring this here. Which one is it? The mixed dates. Substring that, starting position 1, take 3 letters. That should give me the 3 letters of the month, MAR, MAY, APR, JAN, and so on. So that avoids a problem of lots of different things. Now, the month, I need to put in the, well, actually, let me just think. All right. I'm just trying to think how I can do this. So for the moment, let me just get the month out. And then I can try and put the year in front. So I need to split this field, which is mixed dates. And if I remember correctly, the separator was actually a comma, and take segment 2. Again, if you did the beginner's course, you know all about all trim and split. And you know that this plus sign with character fields or character data concatenates. And then I need the, I'm just trying to think. Oh, I need the day in front, if I remember correctly. Okay, so I need to split this field again. Where the, just trying to think what the separator was. I think it was a space. And then I need to split that and take segment 2. Okay, now this is wrong, but I want you to save it anyway. I want to put it in the view, because when you see something in the view, it starts guiding you. Don't try and see everything in your head straight away. So you can see this is not right yet. So I've got March there. I'm supposed to have the year first. I've got the year in the middle. So the year needs to go first. The month is kind of okay. So let me just see here. Date format fixed. So I need to put the year first. I think that was after the year was after the comma. Right. Let's just see here. This must go first. I'm just going to move it to the left just to verify. Okay. So this takes a bit of time now because people were allowed to inconsistently capture the date formats. So the year's first, that's good news. Now I need a space and then the March. Okay. Let's just see a date format fixed. Then I need a space. Oh, by the way, okay, I'll first fix this, and I thought of a slightly easier solution, but anyway, there's a space here. I want to put the space in, and then I can go ahead and say that was a space. Then I need another space, I think. Okay, let me just save this and see again what I have right now. Okay, so I have 2019, right, I want March in the middle. Okay, so, and I want to get rid of the comma in the 15. So I want to get rid of the comma in the 15. So this, let me just see, the 15 is here. No, that's the, wow, this is fun right now. Okay. Let's just see, this was the 15, I think. Let me clean from the comma. Okay. Right. No, okay, I need to clean the other thing from the comma. So guys, I'm getting there. I'll just quickly do this and I'll show you another solution maybe shortly, one that's better than this. I think there's a better one. All right, plus, let me clean this as well just to be safe from the comma. I want to get rid of that comma. That other clean function can come out, but I won't take it out right now. Okay. So trying to look better, the March needs to be in the middle. The idea is I'm hoping eventually to replace the March with the 03. Now before, I'm not going to waste any more of your time trying to fix it like that. Let me just do it this way. C date fixed 1. I'm going to say copy over, okay, the difference. Sorry, copy over the mixed dates column by default. And yeah, let's just see. And we can say, okay, let's look for these dates that have that other funny format. The earlier one, 99-99-99. That one is actually reasonably easy to fix. I could just say convert this to a date. Actually, this one, wow, this is a bit trickier than I was hoping. Right, this I need to convert to a date. I'm planning on converting this one to a date field straight away. The format for this that I saw in the original was, if I'm not mistaken, 4Ys-mm-dd. This one here, I'm going to put my condition back. The value would be, I want to convert this to a date, and I'm going to convert this field to date, and the format I saw there was mm-dd-yy. So what my strategy is in the second possible solution to this dilemma with mixed dates is to say, never mind moving things around trying to fix it. The format is what it is. Just tell ACL, look for these records that look like this. That's their format, convert them to dates. Now I haven't yet touched, obviously, the funny one with the March in that. But yeah, let's just quickly have a look at this solution. Okay, you're going to have some errors in this solution here. Let me just get this fixed one here. Okay, so this one is fine. Those are dates. These are also fine now. This one, of course, is horribly wrong. I haven't taken that in format into account. The problem there is still, this word here is very problematic. That one I'd still have to go and fix. So this solution would be perfect, I think, if it wasn't for the fact that we had words in it, of varying lengths. If it was all MAR, APR, it would be very easy. So I would have to, at some point, whether it's to go back to that field and carry on working on it, or go here, I would have to figure out how to fix this, move this around. My strategy, because of this, would be to actually just get this moved into the correct position, and then I could convert it the same way I converted this into this. I would have the similar conditions, except this one would eventually be something like 2019 DD space triple M or whatever. In fact, I can leave the month there. But I'm not going to waste any more of your time with that. You can see it's a bit of a struggle here. You'll get there, all right? I would get there too in the next few minutes, but I don't have a few minutes. I need to show you guys some other stuff. All right, but you will get the data, obviously, so you can play with it at will and try different solutions. Now, this year, let's talk about time filters. I want to look at which of these times are after 8 in the morning in this time 1 column. So what I would do is I would click on my filter button and say time 1 is after is greater than, and because this is date time data, we need our reverse quotes. And we have put a letter T to indicate this time. You can put a small t, you can put a capital T, it doesn't matter. And the format you use when you type an actual time is HHMMSS. So it would be 080000. Again, if I was looking for times after things that happen after 11 at night, it would be 230000 because of ACL's 24-hour clock. Anyway, things that happen after 8 in the morning, there they are. No big deal. The trick is just to remember to put the letter T in front of your time and then to use the correct format. That's not such a big deal. That's very easy. Now we must be very careful here. I have got a column called Datetime 1. I want to do the same exercise. I want to know which of these things in Datetime 1 took place after 8 o'clock in the morning. So I think to myself, okay, this can't be that bad. Datetime 1 after, T and then 080000. And this is the result I get. But now, this is very strange. This particular thing happened at 5 in the morning. That's not after 8 in the morning. The reason I'm getting this strange result is because I never indicated which date I was looking at. This is a date time field. It has dates and times in it, this particular one. So because I did not indicate a date, ACL assumes I'm looking for things that happened after 8 o'clock in the morning on the 1st of January 1900. Well, all of these I can tell you happened after 8 in the morning on the 1st of January 1900. So if you want to do a filter based only on time, do not do it in a column that has dates and times. You would need to split this up into a separate date column and a separate time column. Luckily, we already have a separate time column. Okay, and then you could do your time filter there. If you wanted to do a filter with dates and times on this, because you're typing a date and a time, that's okay. Now, let's just do some quick calculations. I want to know how many hours passed from that time on the 5th of July to that time on the 5th of July. So I'm just quickly going to do a calculation in my computed field. Let me just remove some of these. They're just cluttering my view. Let me go to my table layout. Okay, and I'll just call this time difference, time diff. And then I need to say take date time 2 minus date time 1. Okay, seems simple enough. Let's see what we get. Click OK, save my changes. Okay. And now we're just waiting for ACL, right? And I see this answer and I think, what is this? I was expecting to see an answer of, I don't know, 7 hours, 8 hours, something like that. And I don't understand what this is. Now, this is a serial time. This is a problem, okay? So what I need to do is I need to go back to my table layout, variance, sorry, not variance, it was called, let's just see, what did I call it now? Time difference. And I need to say, I want a function. I'm going to take that answer 0.3 or whatever it was. I'm going to apply a function to it called STOT, which stands for serial time to time. It takes a serial time and converts it to a normal time we can understand. So I'm going to just type it, STOT, around that result, and hopefully I get the right time. Do not multiply your answer by 24. I know that a serial time is the number of hours divided by 24, but don't be tempted to do that. Because of exponent arithmetic, your answer won't be 100% correct. Okay, so we can see here, the amount of time that passed from there to there was 8 hours, 48 minutes, and 4 seconds, right? So you can use this, in lieu of the Olympics, because if you want to be very precise with time. So this is how you do that subtraction sum. Always remember, you can just subtract 2 times or 2 dates and times if you've got 2 datetime columns. But remember to use the function STOT so you can see it as a serial date and a as a normal time. Change it from a serial time to a normal time. Okay, now sometimes we want to take a time, let's say time 1, and we want to add, I don't know, 10 hours to it. So what we need to do is we need to go to the table layout. Okay, and we can call this let's just call this time in 10 hours. So you might want to do this when you're converting from one time zone to another. So you've got a time in one time zone, what was the time in another time zone? So we can say, okay, I want to take time 1 at 10 hours. But when you add units of time, you have to express it as a serial time that you're adding. So I would be tempted to say 10 divided by 24. I'm going to try that. Let's see what happens. So I want to know what the time will be in 10 hours, right? Maybe in another time zone. So I'm just waiting for the computer. Gosh. Okay. So let me see what my calculation tells me. Time in 10 hours. So if the current time, if the time in one time zone is that, 10 hours later would be that same time. That doesn't make any sense. And I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is this. I said 10 divided by 24, which was correct. But that gives you 0.416 recurring. Now, ACL rounds off your answers, remember, based on how many decimals you put in the formula. I had no decimals in that formula, 10 divided by 24. So I need to round off this answer to 0 decimal places, which will give me 0. So I accidentally added 0 hours to that time, which is why my new time is the same. So I need to go back to my time calculation. Time in 10 hours. So from experience, I've learned when you add units of time, it's best usually to add 10 decimals. So I'm going to say 10.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 zeros. Let's see what happens now. Okay. And there we go. That looks much more sensible. If it's 5 in the morning, 10 hours later would be 3 in the afternoon. So we could use that to convert from one time zone to another, but be careful with your rounding. Okay. Right, so there we've got that now. But what happens if I've got this column here, date time 1, and I want to add 10 hours or 20 hours or something like that? So let me take date time 1. I want to add maybe 30 hours. That's more than a day. So I'm going to say 30 hours later. Right, 30 hours later. So I'm going to say take date time 1, add, so 30.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 divided by 24. Let's see what happens. Okay, let me just add this column next to date time 1, 30 hours later. And that will be the time, but notice the date has changed because I would no longer be on the 5th of July if I added 30 hours. I'm now on the 6th of July. It's very convenient when you want to add hours to use a column that has date and time in. You know, the flight left on that date at that time, the flight was, 10 hours, 15 hours, whatever it was, 30 hours if it was an extremely long flight. That's the date the flight is scheduled to arrive at that time. So it's convenient to add units of time to such a column with dates and time in. If you added the hours to that, but you needed the day to be correct as well, you would have to go and create also, another field to figure out, should I or shouldn't I increase the date from 5th of July to 6th of July? As extra work, as unnecessary work, rather use this field if you're concerned about what the date will be as well. If you're concerned only about what the time will be in 10 hours, that's fine. Just use that one. Then you don't need to use that one. Okay, so before I show you the first serial time example that I wanted to show you in ACL, the one where my data went funny, just remember, When you do a filter only based on time, don't do it there. You're going to get the wrong result because ACL is going to assume the date you're referring to is 1 January 1900. If you're going to do a filter in that column with a date and a time, that's fine. If you want to add hours and you need to know what the day will be, will it still be on the same day? If we add so many hours for a different day, use that column. If you don't need to know the day, use that column, right? If you need to do a filter only on the time, as I said, don't use this. If this is what you got from the client, you need to split it up so that you get that column out. When you add units of time, express them as a fraction of 24 hours, but remember to put point and then 10 zeros for the decimals. When you subtract times, remember you're going to get some funny looking answer, 0.3, 0.9, 0.28, whatever it is. Use the function STOT to convert it from a serial time into a normal time. Okay, let me just quickly go create some data here for you in ACL. Okay, so I'll call it test date. So I'm going to quickly type this number 2019-001. I'm going to create another date. I'll use a condition. If the record number equals 2, I'll say 2019-002. Let's have a few more of these. Record number 3. Let me put 2019-031. And record number 4. Let me make this 2019-032, I think. And then one more, 2019-365. So this is the data I was hoping to import for you, but it went a bit awry. So I'm going to put this in a view quickly for us to see. Okay. Let's put this in a view. We're just waiting for the system. Goodness gracious me. Okay, so let me, right, I'll go to the end here. Let me remove some of these columns. Okay. Test date, no, these numbers are too big. Let me just see, oh, okay, it's the formatting. Let me just change the formatting so it's a bit less confusing for us. Okay, let me just change the formatting of this paragraph. Might need to change it in the table out too. Let me just choose it from the drop-down list, why not? Okay. Let me change the formatting again. I don't want those decimals. Okay. So this is what it looks like. These are my serial dates that I was hoping to import, something like this. And when you import a serial date like this, you import it as numeric. The problem is I don't know what these dates are. Well, it's easier for me to see than some random number like 34,922. But I want to convert this in ACL to a normal date. What I would have to do is, I would have to, when I import it, tell ACL what the format is. You would import and tell ACL it is a date field. Now, I can't do that because I don't have a field that looks like that in my source data. Mine's a bit messed up for some reason. So I'm going to say, use this almost as if this was an import I was doing. I'm going to say whatever the data is here. Let me just see, right? Whatever the data is in there. I need to tell ACL that it's Datetime, and I need to tell it the format. The format there is 4 Ys for 2019 and 3 Ds. And that's what you would tell ACL. In the import, you would use that as the format for the Datetime field. So I'm trying to simulate that, seeing as my data let me down a bit here. But there you can see, it shows you, first day of the year 2019 was 1st of January, second day, 2nd of January. The 31st day was 31st of January, 32nd day was 1st of February, and so forth, right? And somewhere I might have some other date. Anyway, I think I've messed up somewhere, but it's fine. All right, so that is how you would import that kind of field. Import it as numeric, and then just tell ACL what the correct format is. Now, one of our clients, I'm not mentioning names, their accounting system uses date formats similar to this, except they use 4 digits for the year. Sorry, not for the year, for the day. So it wouldn't say 2019-001. It would say 2019-0001, which of course doesn't really make sense because you can't have more than 366 days in a leap year or 365 days in a normal year. So what would happen is if you imported those formats for that client with the format 4 Ys, 4 Ds, because you would think, oh, the last 4 digits of the day, you would get blank dates. Strange but true, it doesn't work. what we've discovered with that client's accounting system is you tell ACL that the format is 4Ys for the 2019, then the 0 is the month. So you're basically telling ACL to ignore that first 0. Then the last 3 things you write D. So you write 4Ys, M, triple D. And that works for that particular client's data. And then you end up having something that looks like that. All right. So just remember, okay, let's just quickly go over this. You've got different types of serial dates. You've got the ones that look like this. The client can give you the base date, which you can then use to calculate these things, the correct time. The problem is if the base date is before 1st of January 1900, that doesn't technically exist in ACL. You've got to do a lot of fancy calculations to get the right answer. It can be done. Here the client didn't give us the base date, but I accidentally worked it out using my first method. But again, the first method of working out the base date and then adding whatever this number is to the base date is dangerous because that base date might not exist in ACL. It might be before 1 January 1900. But again, if I really do want to go that strategy with such a problematic date, I can do all sorts of fancy calculations to get there. My preferred method is to say, I know what that corresponds to, for example. I'm going to say, take that minus that, work out a difference, add that difference to whatever the normal date is for that. So I use that normal date as my base date. Then here, with these mixed dates, that's a nightmare. Either try and fix it first. I think it would be best probably because of that nonsense there, because the number of letters in the words vary. Once you fixed it, I almost got there, then you can, you convert it using CTOD, using different formats, using different conditions. Okay, I'm not going to waste your time anymore with that one. You are going to get the data, so you can play quite a bit. Right. Don't, for goodness sake, let people type in dates any way they want if you can help it. Get the system to force them to choose from a calendar or force them to type dates in a certain format. Do not let them choose, because that's where a lot of this drama starts. Okay. Times, they might come in a column on their own with the date separately, or they might come in one column with the date. It is convenient to have them in one column if you want to add hours to that, and you need to know what the next date will be, if it's the new time is on the same date or a different date. It is not convenient if you want to know only the time. It is inconvenient if you want to do a filter based only on the time, because it's going to give you the wrong result. You want a filter based only on the time, put that in a new column. If you want to do a filter based on the date and the time, go for it, do that. Okay, when you subtract times, your answer will always be a serial time. Use the STOT function to convert it to a normal time. Do not, for goodness sake, times by 24. I know it seems logical, but because of the fixed point arithmetic in ACL, because of the rounding, your answer is going to be inaccurate most of the time. Rather let the function do the work for you. Okay, so times and dates are not too bad. You just have to remember all the different issues. And when you have a horrible column with different formats, it just takes a while to fix all the formats. Ideally, if the column has more than, the column I gave you, the mixed dates column, only has 3 different formats in, which isn't too bad. But if there are lots and lots of formats, then it's going to involve a lot of work for you. And sometimes it's not possible to tell from a format which is the day, the month, of the year when things are inconsistent. If the one says 01/05/19, which is the day, which is the month, which is the year, they're all valid days, months, and years. You might have to go back to the client if things get too messy and say, look, I do not have time to fix this in ACL with all these conditions and all sorts of other things to try and figure out which part is the day, the month, of the year. Go back to the client then and ask them for a new data set. Okay, people, so please remember these videos and these presentations and the data, they have been uploaded to a website. I'm not sure what the link is, but I know our marketing department has been sending out links to different clients saying, this is where you can find the stuff. So please just always check your emails. You should get an email saying, click here, and it will take you to where you can download the presentation, the session, the recording, the data, etc. Okay, so people, remember, if you have any questions, you're welcome to email me. You've got my email address from the invitation that was sent to you by Zoom. Also, I know some of you want to attend the beginner's course. I want you to attend it because it will benefit you. Unfortunately, with the quarantine, with the lockdown, our schedule's a bit thrown out at the moment. But in the meantime, you can start learning some things by going to highbond.com. Log in there with your company credentials, and then click on Academy, and you'll see various videos, and you can start learning different things there. Okay, so people, that's it for today's session. As I said, if you have any questions, ask, please send me an email and I will try to answer them as best I can. And then that's it for today. I shall see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a good day.